I have no affinity to actually playing any musical instrument. AI has allowed me to bridge that gap.
Do you feel a bit bad? Like some guy no longer has a job because of your fun project?
I don't know if more and more content is a good thing, to be honest.
What are clients really paying you for? Your creative technical skill or the final result?
They're paying for the final result.
And if the final result can be achieved at 1/10 of the price, why should I be paying you more?
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Deep Dive with Tiffany and myself, Stephen. Now, over the National Day weekend, we saw 2 AI-generated films, right? And one was called Trace Project, the other is Bersama Majulah. And that got people talking.
Yeah, because before the films came out, there was even debate online questioning whether generative AI's role in filmmaking. Some people called them AI slop. A good example is in Trace Project. Someone pointed out that there were 6 stars on the Singapore flag. But putting aside whether these films are good or bad, we know that Gen AI is getting better, and one day this problem will disappear.
Maybe. So the harder question here is, when anyone can make something look professional in minutes, what happens to the people who actually spend years perfecting that craft? Will they be left behind? Does AI make you less creative, or simply, I guess, a different kind of creative?
And so we've brought together 2 guests who sit on the opposite ends of the spectrum for a little debate. We have Basil Yeo, a founder and creative producer of Playbox Studios, a creative media agency who does not use AI in their creative works.
Thank you for having me.
And we have Matthew Lee, one of the people behind Recess Remix, a TikTok account that creates AI remixes of Singapore school anthems. He also runs an AI solutions company.
Yeah. Hi.
Okay, hey guys, welcome to the show. Let's start with the first debate point. Are you a creative if you use AI? Because Matthew, you're using AI to remake some of our old school songs, right?
Yes, I
so
am.
you got the tum-tsit version of some school song, right? Yeah.
Exactly,
You know,
exactly.
But he doesn't have any background in music.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. You don't have any background music. So actually, without AI, you wouldn't be able to do this.
No, I wouldn't. Not at all.
Run us through very quickly. How do you do this?
There's actually a process behind it. We do not proclaim to be like as professional as the professionals themselves. But we do think of themes. We do think of the tools, the AI tools that are available to us. From there, we actually built some sort of a workflow. And I think for us, we've actually consciously focused on school songs and nothing else. Right. And because we actually have a mission behind it, we want to produce uplifting school songs, or rather school songs that will allow the current generation to actually remember them.
So when you say you have certain workflows, so for example, if you are trying to remix a Chinese school songs, you will pick some form of Chinese genre, let's say Mando pop.
So it could be Mando pop, it could be we've tried Taiwanese R&B.
Okay.
We've actually done EDM, Chinese EDM.
Okay.
We've even mixed in like Chinese traditional orchestral music with R&B.
Okay.
So would you dare say that you are a music composer?
No.
Music director?
No.
Then what would you, if people ask you, what are you then?
That's the thing. There's no label for that kind of thing at the moment because the technology itself is so new. I can't put myself into any kind of traditional cookie cutter to say that this is what I am, right? I'm merely a person who is using AI to really express my views.
Right.
So which part of the song is unmistakably yours?
It would actually be, number one would be the graphics on the TikTok channel, the melodies.
Wait, you don't use AI to create those graphics?
We use AI to create those.
So how is that unmistakably yours as well?
Okay, so AI to us is a tool. So we use that tool to brainstorm, to decide on the graphics. So it's not to say, we don't do like, oh, I want a graphic for this, and then AI goes along and does it. So there's actually a planning process. Does the background visual actually match the music, right? What kind of message or visual message do you want to send to the students, for example? So that's what.
So you're giving it very clear instructions of exactly what you want it to do.
Yes.
Like you would with any tool, any graphic software, you would kind of use it to create something.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So Basil, when you hear all this, how do you feel about that? Because he's basically doing what some guy spent years learning, perfecting his craft, and now he's got the AI to do the same thing.
Yeah, so one hobby I have actually is going on YouTube and looking for covers of like songs that I like, artists that I like, and people are actually like learning how to play those songs or replicate the mixing techniques that they use, for example, for the Beatles like recordings. So people do covers of them, and they spend a lot of time like trying to perfect it, and sometimes even remixing them in different styles. So I really got to ask the question, why? Why could you not have like tried to pick up an instrument in your free time and do something, even if it's not like perfect? It could be something that could even find its own niche audience, and it could be something that makes people happy, because with the proliferation of like AI content these days, a lot of people are craving for human-made content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And not to say I haven't tried.
No, fair enough, fair
I've
enough.
got grade 6 in piano, but I can't play anything on the piano at
Oh,
all.
you got grade 6 in piano.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? I'm thoroughly convinced that I have no affinity to actually playing any musical instrument. I'm just not wired that way, right? AI has somehow bridged or allowed me to bridge that gap. No, I know I cannot do it, but now that AI is there, it has given me the tools to actually bridge that gap. And do I consider myself a musician? No, I don't.
I believe you use Suno, right?
We used to know.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you can use Suno. You enter like maybe the school lyrics,
Yep.
and then you tell it what
Yeah.
what genre you want, and then it comes up with something that somewhat resembles the genre. You really did not have any like input in terms of the chords, the melody,
So the creation portion, that's
the
part.
creation process, the process.
Ah.
Yeah.
But some would argue that, part of the whole creative process is also about how you prompt, like, choosing whether you want to use Chinese orchestra, Mando pop, Taiwanese R&B, rejecting, whether this works or not, editing it down, rearranging something, which even if you put a human in the loop, they are also kind of just playing around with it and seeing whether or not this is a creative process for them. So wouldn't the curation, of when you are playing with these AI tools be also part of that creative process?
I guess you can argue it that way, but I feel like there's certain imperfections and certain qualities in the sound when a human plays it as compared to when it's done by a machine. Yeah. There's certain qualities that you can't replicate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Such as, like, for example?
The flaws, the
Yeah, the flaws.
Yeah.
It really like we're looking for these the flaws in the sonic signature,
yeah.
and stuff like that.
So you want to see these flaws?
Like I want to see something that somebody took their time to do, like took their time to play, record, even
Right.
improve on it.
But you're looking for the humanity in the
I'm
whole
looking for the
process, right?
humanity in the
The
process.
person to be
Yeah.
in the process.
Yeah.
And I think there's still a place for that person. There's music that came, like you mentioned, the Beatles, right? So my guitar gently weeps. Clapton's on it, and if you can hear it there. You know that's Clapton on it, right? And there's a place for that. And for us, we are merely an elevated or glorified version of CDG plus a bit of heartbreak.
Wait. I am not a music person. Can you please break
Do you
this down
understand
for
that?
me?
The chords,
Yeah, the chords, right?
The
So-
3 chord songs.
So
Okay.
3 chord songs, C, D, and G, and a little bit of
Okay.
heartbreak will give you a hit song.
Okay.
That's the
okay,
formula, is it?
okay.
So we basically are a glorified version of something like this,
I
right?
see.
Without the heartbreak, of course.
When you
right?
say we, it means you and AI.
Yeah, so me and AI, we basically we are rehashing what has worked before.
Okay.
So there is validity in his argument, right? It is true. Will AI be as creative as a human being? The definition of art in itself is the application of human skill and imagination to either produce a thing of beauty or to actually provide a message, right? So that's art in itself. That's the real definition of art. And art will still be there, even with AI being a different tool altogether. We, even for our side, for what we've been doing, right, we have actually seen massive improvements when we actually got one of the team members who is actually musically trained to improve the prompt by going down to the chords
Okay.
and even manipulating the chords. So in that sense, at some point, AI could actually be your new instrument.
Yeah, because in this case, you've taught the AI to, sort of meet your needs and to customize it to work with what you want it to do.
Yeah.
So in that case, then when we go back to the movies we talked about earlier, the two AI movies that were made in Singapore, I mean, so what's wrong with that? What's the big deal? I mean, storyline aside, if we just look at the technical side, because I know that's a whole different debate as well. Yeah. So there's been a bit of an uproar, people saying, oh, how can you do this? I mean, sure, some inaccuracies, but in real movies, there are also lots of inaccuracies. Basil, what do you think?
I think a lot of the younger generation, I don't know if you've spoken to like Gen Zs. Gen Zs really dislike it. And I think Gen Zs don't want to see something up there that so-called claims to represent us all and doesn't look authentic.
Okay.
Okay.
So something that is poorly made, using very, maybe not checked prompts that were not checked well, now is out there representing a Singapore-made label, having
That's just
a
for
Singapore-made
now. I
label.
mean, say 5 years from now, it could be much better. I mean, in movies now, they've recreated former dead presidents, put them in the screen, mixed them with the real actors, and we couldn't tell. So at some point, we may be seeing that, right?
Yeah, but ethically still a bit of a
That's
issue.
different. Then you talk ethics now.
Yeah, but before we get there, I have a question though. I think one thing that, Matthew brought out was the whole idea that I think AI has dramatically lowered the bar for, in terms of, how the technical barrier of how we make music, how we, make films, our images and everything. So is AI democratizing creativity, or is it devaluing the creative skill?
I think it's actually democratizing it a lot more.
Okay.
See, the issue with the two films, in my opinion, is that it's the wrong context. You're not contextualizing it to what Singaporeans really want. If you get an artist, and I really say this in all seriousness, and a real artist who born and bred Singaporean, who knows the culture, right? He could generate a 45-minute video completely based on stickmen, and it would still resound with the public.
So if Jack Neo makes I'm Not Stupid -AI, it'll be fine. You feel that people won't have that big a reaction?
You would not have that big a reaction at all, because you know where it's coming from. You know the person behind it. You know that this is actually created in the right context. You see, so it's even if it's badly produced, right? People will still appreciate it. Yeah. Because it still depends so much on the artist. There is still a very large space for artists within the AI space. They need to make the end product relevant, which is what artists have always been challenged to do. You, regardless of whether you do the drawing or painting, you put a banana on the wall, you need to make it relevant.
Do you agree that AI...
I don't think so, because for me, it's always been about the process, about, learning how to do something. And I feel like if you shortcut the process, then you don't really learn what it means to actually make a film, for example. Like you don't go through the process of like writing, sitting around for hours and trying to come up with like, oh, what's the next scene? Yeah.
Okay, but some would argue, why bother going through all that agony and pain when a shortcut?
Hard slot.
Then you feel for it. But as a viewer, the guy buying the movie ticket, I have no idea you've gone through your trials and tribulations, so to speak. And do I really care? Right? I mean, so to some extent, we're looking at the final product, and people are judging you based on the final product. So how you got there may not be relevant or important to me.
There's a certain wonder in when you watch a film.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm speaking from the point of view of a professional, right?
Yeah.
When you watch a film, there's a certain wonder in like, how did they do that? Yeah.
Okay.
But I have to ask you, Basil, what are clients really paying you for? I mean, are they paying you for your labor, your creative technical skill, your judgment, or the final result?
They're paying for the final result.
Pay for the final result. And if the final result can be achieved at 1/10 of the price that Matthew just put into AI, if I'm coming from the client's perspective, why should I be paying you more? Because you enjoy the process, but all I care about is the end product, right?
Brands also and clients also probably need to realize the hidden cost of using AI. In terms of they need to go on the social media and look at people who are having debates in their comment section about AI. And so far, a lot of the comments I've seen are overwhelmingly negative. So brands need to see who they're communicating with and see if like there's customers who may be turned off from using their products because they use AI to promote them.
So you're saying that that reputational risk,
Yeah,
if
the
if
reputational risk.
companies are found to use AI, people might not want to buy their product, or people might not believe in what they are trying to sell.
Yeah.
But do you think that will change one day? That at the end of the day, the audience is gonna say, you know what? I also don't really. I'm my standards, my threshold for what is AI generated has really.
In other
lowered.
words, if everybody else is doing AI stuff, then after a while I'm used to seeing it. Then I don't really question and I don't say, hey, I need to see something
I think it's
man-made.
I think it's very hard to say. Yeah,
Okay.
I can't conclude anything like that now because we still have to live that journey, right?
So do you think realistically you can, fend off Gen AI indefinitely in the work that you do?
I still feel to a certain extent it's possible. I mean, like it or not, I think we need to we have to find a way to coexist. Yeah, I mean, I can't stop anyone from using Gen
Sure.
AI. Yeah.
And we know that it's here to stay. It's being, used for a lot more things. But on the flip side, Matthew, now that you've heard Basil's story, I mean, do you feel a bit bad? Like what you're doing, you just doing it for fun, and at the same time, you just probably some guy no longer has a job because of your fun project.
Well, we've had those comments,
Oh,
right? About how AI could put songwriters, especially, out of a job. We've had comments like, "Oh, this is AI slop." However, we've never not declared it to be AI, right? So, some people have said it, but over most of the comments have actually been very positive, right? If you create an entire product just 100% AI, then yes, maybe there's going to be a lot of negative comments about that. But if you think of it as a business, for example, if you only use AI for certain components like the background or a small component of it, just to improve your own workflow, become more efficient, and then weave actual, video that you have taken together, I think that is actually very beneficial for industries as a whole, Yeah.
You agree, Basil?
No?
He's shaking his
I mean,
head.
I think there's still like I mentioned earlier the ethical issues.
Okay,
What's
let's
the
talk
ethical
about that.
issue?
Yeah.
So one thing is copyright. You don't get to fully own the copyright if you use like AI to generate, like, for example,
Right.
an image or something. I'm coming from the context of creating IP instead of like advertisements.
Okay, so if creators were properly compensated and gave consent, would you change your position on this?
I think it's possible that I may, but it has to be clear that the model that is trained on is completely like locally trained and doesn't rely on an external data center or anything like that. Or
But
external
why
sources.
not?
Yeah,
Why?
yeah.
I mean,
Why
the
not?
more databases AI has to draw from, the better it can be, right? So why limit it?
It's back to copyright.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it's back to like if you draw from a whole like I mean maybe thousands of years of like human history into that one system, then there's no room left for the creative to be intentionally derivative. Like there's no room for the like the creative spark.
Okay, so you're saying that when you say local, you mean what I feed in. So if let's say three of you have given consent to using your works, then I can feed those into the model and use that to generate something. Whereas what you are against is the idea that it's pulling out from places from anywhere in the internet.
Yeah, from work that's not done by you or your team that's not owned by you.
I want to go back to something that I read earlier this week, which is it was on a CNA commentary piece. Local director Philip Lin, who made the teenage textbook movie, he actually said that while fears about job losses to AI are legitimate, not every task performed by AI automatically represents a job that would otherwise have gone to someone else. So what he's saying is that we keep thinking that AI is here to replace jobs, especially in the creative industry, right? But he is saying that actually that may not be the case. Some of these jobs possibly were already phased out in the first place. So he gave an example about not actually needing a storyboard artist anymore. Do you think now is that turning point for this industry, the creative industry, to be a bit more introspective on whether, what roles are really necessary? I mean, Basil, you are in this industry. Have there been roles that, regardless of whether there's AI or not, it should have been replaced and phased out?
Should have been replaced and phased out. Oh, that's very tricky. I working in the space that I'm in mostly doing corporate and clients. We really don't have the luxury of having a full crew at all times.
Yeah.
So we tend to wear many hats. Yeah. But I can't say for sure that there are jobs that we can completely replace or we should replace. Yeah.
So you do use some form of, you don't use the generative AI to create your creative works, right?
No,
But do you use some AI in the course
Do you
of
use
your
it for
work
your
as well?
scheduling?
I think
for
I use, like, for example, like in the software that we use, DaVinci Resolve, there's like AI transcription. There's a AI noise reduction, for
Okay.
example. Yeah, so these are things that we use in our
Okay, so as long as it's
process.
not a creative process, that's what
Yeah.
you feel. That's where you
Yeah.
feel that the human needs to
Yeah.
be involved.
But I think it's not necessarily going to put transcribers out of job. It just probably reduces the amount of hours that they have to work. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because I've asked that question because in every industry, that I've seen so far, there's always this push to get people to upskill, learn AI. They're always telling, people that, right? Because otherwise, the job may not be the way you see you have been having this job for this whole time. The job may not be there anymore. So shouldn't we also accept the argument that if everyone in different industries has to pivot some form or another, the creative industry might also have to pivot and accept that maybe like what, Matthew say, have some form of Gen AI input in the creative space. Not all, but some.
I don't think you particularly or necessarily need like Gen AI to create. I mean, as Matthew says, it's a tool, right? So if you want to use it, I'm not going to stop you because I have no moral authority to. But like of course there are certain like tasks and job scopes that can be streamlined using some form of machine learning AI, which is not necessarily generative. Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying some parts you don't mind automating in that sense. Yeah,
automation. Yeah.
Okay. So Matthew, I mean, at the end of the day, now that you've heard, Basil's point of view, he feels very strongly about it.
Yeah.
Do you feel that what you're doing will actually, hurt people down the line as, it progresses, becomes more, or becomes better at what it's doing?
Hurt, I think, is a very...
Hurt is very strong
very
word.
strong
Hurt's a very
word.
strong
Right.
word. It's a very strong word.
I really
Are you
It hurts
taking
people.
away his
I honestly don't
livelihood?
think it's at that point yet.
I don't think it's. I actually don't think it's at that point yet. But it will come.
Okay.
I see the current wave as of or what we call the AI revolution, equivalent to something that you actually saw during the Industrial Revolution. So pre-Industrial Revolution, if you wanted a pair of shoes, you'd go to a cobbler. Post-Industrial Revolution, you went to a factory and the guy would say, for the same price, I'll give you 50 pairs and you can change one every month, right? Is there a place for cobblers still? Yes, even today, people still want handmade shoes of a high quality, and even the ability to customize specific things on their shoe, right?
Yeah.
So we still have cobblers, but industry as a whole has changed, which means people are now able to bulk generate more videos, more songs. Is everything considered art? No. Will there still be a place for artists? Yes, most definitely so. Because there will be many of us as human beings who can appreciate the beauty that comes with the creation of art. And we can actually find a place in our society for it. Yeah. But industry, paying industry as a whole, most probably will move towards the AI side of things.
What you're saying is that at the end of the day, it boils down to the audience as well, right?
Yes.
If I want this infinite amount of content, then I don't care where it's coming from, because the infinite amount of content is you just throw 10,000 things at me, something will stick. On the flip side, when so many people are good at AI skills, being able to use it for prompting and Gen AI and everything like that, right? Doesn't that also make your skills mediocre and worthless at the end of the day?
Yes.
Because if all of us here,
It's like a commodity, right?
right,
Yeah.
exactly. So how do you then, someone like you, stand out from the rest?
So going back to what we discussed earlier, right, about the movies, the people who will stand out are the people who will be able to produce things or products that are very well contextualized, which means you understand your audience. The people who understand their audience best will be the ones who really can create the right content. What is your message that you want to put across? And not only that, can you put it across clearly?
But how do you make money out of that? Because in every generation, there's probably only one Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
But not everybody likes Christopher Nolan.
That's true, but
Because
what
his
I'm trying to
movies
say
are
is
so
that
long.
I'm all right with that. I'm all right with that. Yeah, you see, the AI is made for people like you. Just get it
That's
over and
true,
done with,
yeah.
right? But yeah. So what I'm trying to say is that each generation can only produce one or two of those people that you're talking about who understand the audience, who can have a message, and they have they have investors to back their message. Right, who are willing to put all that money into that for you to go and be Christopher Nolan.
Right. So, and that's true. So the economics of it could possibly collapse, right? At the end of the day, you're not going to see billion-dollar budgets anymore. So it's a fraction of the cost, but you might see an increase in volume. But with increase in volume means the audience has a greater selection. Well, I might not see a Nolan, I might see somebody else who creates a feature that merges Transformers with Harry Potter, and I really, really like it. For example,
I don't
Wow.
know.
Right?
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know
Does
if
that
more
future
content is a good
scare
thing.
you,
I don't know if more and more content is a good thing, to be honest.
Yeah. Although, I mean, because when you go on Netflix, they're always looking for more content to put on just because they need to service their customers, keep them
Yeah.
connected, right? So,
Keep them
Wow.
paying subscriptions.
yeah. So at the end of the day, it sounds like it's a real challenge. But yeah, I think a good story is a good story. So, the tools you use to get there. I mean, while you may not agree, Basil, but I think, at the end of the day, the final product, if it's a good story, whether you use AI or not, I'm not so fussed,
That's for you. I think there will always be a group of people who will want, the human made stuff. I guess we've laid everything on the table. If if there's one thing the other person, so Matthew, Basil, if one thing that the other person has said that you think you can get behind after this discussion, what can you agree, that you've heard from each other?
I do agree with Matthew that it's always about the story and the concept. I think that's always been the thing that we put forward, and that will not change. Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what the tool is as long as the
Nah, he
story
didn't
and
say
the
that.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
I was hoping that he would
didn't
say
say
yes.
that,
Then
yeah.
okay,
But the story and the concept is always the most important thing. Yeah.
okay, content.
I can get behind Basil in the fact that it's still an art. It is, you need to put in the hours. Now, regardless of whether you're doing it the traditional way or if you're using AI, you still need to put in the hours, even with AI. Because if you want to put anything of quality out, you will have to tune your way of prompting. You will have to have understandings of your equipment, in our case, things like Suno, all the different software available. And we might even have to go, and maybe for us especially, the context is so much more important. So we actually spend so much time researching. We spend so much more time trying to make sure that our end product is as far away from AI slop as possible. So I think regardless of whether you're an old school or you're going with the AI guys, you're going to need to put in the hours. You're going to have to build your craft. If you feel AI is a tool you can use, you still need to work at it as if it's your craft.
So that's the guy who's learning to use AI for a living, who's making it his craft and his full career and his full job, versus the other guy who is still doing, perhaps sound engineering the old school way. I mean, there's something for everyone.
But perfecting it,
Filmmaking, yeah.
using years of experience to perfect it.
Okay, so we hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of Deep Dive. And of course, AI is something we hear a lot about in this day and age. But if you have thoughts about it, and what do you feel? How do you feel about, AI sort of doing the work that creatives have been doing? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. On that note, that's it for Deep Dive. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.